All right, so you want to learn how to make $100 a day in the stock market. Let me tell you, it will not be easy, but it will be so worth it. The hardest part about learning how to make $100 a day in the market is learning about the fundamentals and the technical analysis. That is probably the hardest part because everybody has their own way of looking at the market, and you just gotta find yours. You gotta find your way of looking at the market. So the first step first is to find your mentor. You gotta find somebody who's trading similar to the way that you want to trade, and just study absolutely everything. Make sure you do your due diligence. That's also very important, is you gotta do your due diligence to make sure that they are a legit trader and they're not somebody out there who's just trying to post big gains for the clout on Twitter and Instagram so they can get a lot of attention. You have to make sure that you've done your due diligence to make sure they are legit. So then you're going to study them and try to replicate their strategy. Try to do exactly the strategy that they're doing and see if it works for you. And the trick with that is to just continually practice in your simulator, That's so important. Practice. It's the most important thing to learn how to make $100 a day in the market. You will not get there without a lot of practice. And what you're going to find over time is as you're trying to replicate that strategy that they're using, the way that you want to trade, you're going to find that there's some things that just don't work with you. Just the risk management, or you don't want to hold as long, or you want to hold longer. And so that's when you're going to add in your own sort of strategy that works for you, and you're going to have your own way that you trade that nobody else trades. And that is probably the hardest part of learning how to make $100 a day in the market, is just practice, trying to replicate somebody else's strategy that's the way that you want to trade, and then finding what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and then adjusting those to make it your own. The thing is, you're never going to be able to replicate somebody's strategy completely to a T. You're not going to have those same thoughts. You're not going to be looking at the market the same way they're looking at the market. Now, after practicing, the next thing is to trade with real money. After you're profitable in the simulator, you want to trade with real money, because that's when you're going to learn the whole other side of trading, which has nothing to do with the markets, but 100% to do with yourself. And that will really teach you how to, manage your own emotions while in a trade, or, anticipating a trade. You're going to learn about, your tendencies for greed, or your fear of loss, or fear of missing out. Those are the big ones. After you start going small size with real money, and consistently keep tracking your trades, analyzing your statistics, and as you start to get consistent with small size, making a few dollars a day, that's when you can start scaling up, and then with that confidence, you can scale up even more. And if you're profitable at the end of every month, that's also a really good sign that you're staying consistent, and then you can scale up even more and try to get to that $100 a day mark. The real secret about staying consistent is learning when to size up and when to size down. It's not always just black and white. You just have the same size every single day, punching it for 1,000 shares every single day. You have to learn how to read market sentiment, and it's so important because learning how to read market sentiment is going to tell you the market days where you should be sizing up and taking advantage of those and having those outsized winners, $200, $300 a day, that can really bring that average up to an average of $100 a day. And some of the days when the market sentiment is weak and you want to size down, you want to minimize those losses, so you don't bring that average down. If you have an outsized losing day, that can completely wipe out weeks of gains, and that's the one thing that you don't want to happen. You want to foresee a cold market or a market that you don't perform in, and then adjust your share size according to that to keep the loser small, and try to get at least small green. All right, so how do we exactly read market sentiment? The way we read market sentiment is we just got to ask some of these questions to ourselves every single day that we sit down. We have to ask ourselves, how many stocks are gapping overnight 10% or more? Have there been a lot of recent runners the past day? Have there been runners that gapped up pre-market, held their highs, and then gapped up another 20, 30, 40%? And how many are doing that? Or is there just one a day that's been doing that? Has there been 5 a day that's been doing that? Have they been running 100%, 200%? Have they only been gapping up 20%? These are very good questions to ask yourself to determine whether the market sentiment is hot or cold. So if there's a lot of stocks on the day that are gapping up over 10%, and we're having a lot of stocks that are holding their pre-market gap and running another 50 or 100% or 200%, that's a really good sign that we're starting to get into a hotter market sentiment. If there's some stocks that are just only gapping up 20 or 30% pre-market, and then right at the open they just dump and fade for the rest of the day, and there's nothing really holding their highs the past few days, that's a good indication that the market sentiment is a little colder. Another good question to ask is whether we are in a period of sector momentum. Are we having AI stocks running? Recently we had AI stocks running. Or oil stocks. Oil stocks in 2022, they had a really good rally. Or are we having gold mining stocks? Or are we having electric vehicles running? So that's also a good question to ask is there a sector that's getting more attention or more volume than in the other sectors? So another good question to ask is, what's the volume to float ratio on these stocks pre-market? So you want to take a look at your pre-market watch list. You want to take a look at the stocks that are gapping pre-market, and you want to see their volume to float ratio. You can use your Thinkorswim scanner if you have Thinkorswim, or you can go on FinViz or Guru Focus, check their float, check the volume on the day, and get the volume to float ratio. The more volume to float ratio, usually you'll see a bigger move on the day. So that's another good question to ask to really get that estimated volatility on certain tickers before the market opens. All right, so just for a quick example, here is what a $100 a day might look like. So, you have a lot of days that are, under $100, $46, $43, $34. You have a lot of days that are over $100, $155, $259. $523, and that's what I mean about market sentiment. You have to be able to read that market sentiment and know those days where you could size up and have those outsized winners to really bring up that average. So, and then also we have a lot of red days. We have a fair amount of red days. We have 6 red days, all of them very, very small, under $100, which is good, which is really, really good. And those are the days that you want to be able to foresee. You want to be able to read that market and to know when to size down when the market sentiment is not hot. When the market sentiment is cold and you're trying to go long, the estimated volatility or the estimated value throughout the rest of the day is low, and you want to be able to kind of foresee that so you can size down and minimize any sort of red days that you might have. So in this month there were 21 trading days and I made about $2,300 in profit. So that comes out to about a little over $100 a day. So thank you guys for tuning in for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please hit that thumbs up button. Also subscribe. Check out the links down in the description. You guys can join the Discord channel where I'm active every single day. The market is open during my trading session. So you guys can join me there. I hope to see you guys in the community. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.